Hopefully you'll zoom in quick. Okay, I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee meeting to order at 9:03. Approval of the agenda. Any late items? Nicole, Kelly, everybody's good? Ian, Deb, you're good? Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Recommend that the District 6 Planning and Development Committee meeting agenda for January 18th, 2024 be approved as circulated. Can I have a mover? Ian? Deb? Great. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes. Recommended that the minutes of the Planning and Development Committee meeting held on December 6, 2023 be adopted. I hope you had a good look at those. Can I have a mover? Deb, you there? Deb? Yep. Seconder, Ian, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, development service update. Nicole is going to give us a little update on developments.
Yeah, I'll just go through a quick slide here. Just wait for it to open.
Okay, and I'll have to share it. Just give
Yep.
me a second. Let me just get this all, got a lot of online spectators, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Just starting at the top here, we have 21083 D. That's the park model proposal. So we've been working on the zoning, but recently picked up the development permit just to make sure that everything is in line. A riparian area assessment is required, and it sounds like one's been done, and we still have to work through it with the province. Just on the phone about that yesterday. For 21361 DP, 534 Main Street. So we were working through some traffic impact study recommendations. The site plan was amended, and so now we have a revised development permit application for review. 23071 DP. So this is the demo of the existing A&W and building a new one. It's still on hold, but I did get a call recently from A&W. They're going to work through what the province requires for the contaminated site portion. So that's in the works, just on hold on our end. 23160 DP. So this is the micro suite development. I heard that they have approval from the province for their site contamination. I don't have that yet, but as soon as I get that, we can pick that bad boy up and keep it going. 23256 DP DVP. I'm not too familiar with this one, but Michelle Hill had contacted me about the environmental assessment. I think it sounds like they're still working on plans from the dock builder, and that was just recently, so it's in the works. 23288 DVP. So this we had gone through the DVP and got approval, and so we're still waiting for the watercourse development permit to be submitted and the building permit. I got a call from Michelle Hill, and so she's been hired to do the environmental assessment, and so they're working on that to satisfy those requirements, so that the WDP will be coming our way. 23336. This is the 32 park models related to the development permit that we already talked about. We have this one going for second reading for Jan 24th, RBP 4. So that one's on hold until that, well, I guess this is the file. And then 23487, we're going to talk about that one today, so I won't go into detail. And then same with 23493, 40 mobile home lots on Hillier. We're going to talk about that today too. So that is it.
Great. Thanks, Nicole.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions? I can't see Deb there, but Ian, you're good. Deb, do you have anything?
Nope, all good.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm, Nicole, that the A&W, they're not going to decommission the A&W that's there. They're going to tear down the one on McLean Street, the old Petrocan building.
I thought the plan was to relocate the existing A&W to the other location. Yes,
So they'll leave the building structure that's at the Chevron there.
Yeah.
So, take the
as far
other.
as I know. Yeah, yeah.
All right, great. All right, Kelly, you're good?
Good.
All right. Well, moving right along to new business. Development permit number 24487 DP. Nicole, take this away.
Okay. And so I don't know, like, if we should wait. I know Roger Green from MQN was going to be present and talk about the proposal. I can go through my slides still. I just know they really wanted to be here in person and meet everyone.
We can bump them to the end. You're good? You're good with that? Everybody's good with that?
No plans today, right, Jeff?
I'm good.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, I mean, I know the weather is a little bit snowy out there, so.
okay, well, we'll move on to the next one, staff report for the development permit number 24487. What do we got here? Gordon Mackey Lane, is that right?
No,
No, that's the one we're gonna skip.
We're skipping that one.
I'm on the wrong one. Parkland Provision Agreement Amendment, 01 Sycamoose Creek Frontage Road. Okay, go ahead, Nicole, sorry.
Yeah, so I have a few slides that I'll just go through some of the background, but then we also have the developer's agent here who can answer any of the questions and knows the history of the file.
Okay,
Okay, so we're talking about 01 Sycamoose Creek Frontage Road. It's just located in the map there. It's a hooked parcel. So just as a reminder, so it's designated residential low density in that light yellow area, and then the dark yellow is rural. So zoning, it's got a split zoning, it's R1, 1 and 2 unit residential in the light yellow where this subdivision is occurring. And then the red or pink is C4 tourist accommodation, and then the rest is country residential. Okay, I'm wondering if Sam, you would like to go through the history or?
I'm sure if you want to, that's fine.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, you bet. Sam, step up to the microphone there.
Okay. Yes, so with regards to the parkland that we went through back last summer in June, we had an agreement to update the old 2012 development parkland agreement to a new version that we had proposed that had upped the area from 0.28 hectares overall to 0.32 hectares. However, when construction began, we realized that part of the parkland next to the hotel, if we can scroll to one of the yeah, okay, this will work. We look at the image on the left, sorry, there we go.
Yeah, just sorry.
That proposed the original, so the area in blue and the dotted area in red on the June 2023 version was the original parkland that we proposed that was approved. But if you can see the outline of the existing hotel, sort of in the bottom area, that gray bumpy line that goes around, we've determined that the parkland area that we were gonna propose of that little red dotted strip actually would interfere with potential future development of the lot. The hotel's underground parking access requires vehicles to actually drive up and down that stretch. So to remedy that particular issue, we're proposing to change the parkland area from what we agreed in 2023 to add on the right side image, the red area up just south of lot 9. And convert the parkland strip, that 3-meter wide dotted line, to a right of way, a temporary right of way, where we will still build the path at this time, but put a covenant on the south lot indicating that at time of development, that developer has to come up with a permanent pathway, either right of way or parkland, however they choose to do it, in a way that is amendable to the city. That way, we don't limit the future development opportunities and make the existing concrete foundation completely unusable.
Great, okay, thanks, Sam. All right. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Nicole?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Ian, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't see it. So when we passed this, we gave up, in order to get this current version, I can't quite see it online, but we gave up that beach frontage area along what looks like lot 1, 2, 3, 4. And for this other area that's already in the riparian area anyways. But one of the key things that we liked, or council liked, I think I voted against it actually. I wanted to actually keep it currently, was the access that we would get with this right of way and parking down into the beach. So are you proposing now that we don't deal with that until the hotel development?
No, at this time, we're still gonna provide the same parking area and path, but the path that we install would only technically be temporary, such that when the hotel gets built, if they decide that they need to move it to maintain access, that they will then build a variant of the pathway that suits that development. So at this time, we're still building the path, we're still providing the area, but only as a right of way instead of parkland, in case the future development needs to make adjustments somehow.
Yeah, just maybe a follow-up. Yeah, I think kind of what was presented to council and why it was approved at the time was that this is a bit of a swap. Now, if we take that out and we're not putting that as parkland, then what does that swap look like? Because one of the things that was really kind of sold to council was that it was an increase in area. Is that still the case, or have we now?
Yes. Yes, the original parkland agreement from 2012 was 0.28 hectares.
Yeah.
Our proposal from 2023 was 0.32, but now with the right of way area taken off and additional park space given along the creek adjacent to what we've already provided, it's now 0.30. So we are up 0.02 hectares from the original 2012 agreement.
But we're down from the other one.
Correct. We're down 0.02 from the previous agreement.
Okay,
Well, not okay, but I'm okay for the moment.
if, and maybe Kelly, the next slide, could you show the next slide? The one with the storm system in it and everything, it's down maybe you don't,
I don't know if it's on here.
it's the very last page on our development, or,
The staff report?
I can open up the staff report.
yeah, it's the very last page. Ian, it's, you know, I understand what they're doing is they're deferring it, to the developer of the parkade. And but they'll still have a walkway in there and they'll still have parking. But when the problem is that all the storm that has been installed in that area, was basically on the right of way. So until the new developer who takes over the hotel, decides to, develop it, that way there it is. Thanks, Kelly.
Hold on, I gotta make sure it's being shared.
Yeah, that way, they'll be able to, build a Mandarin walkway, or maybe it's part of the road. It might be part of the road. Cause the road goes down right to the water and it turns right and goes underground into the parkade. So you can see in that very last slide, that's where the storm is, that storm pit. And,
Right.
So, and then, we're talking just, square feet, actually hardly any, we're not really losing anything on the waterfront. We're just losing a little bit on the side.
Well, but this is going to be built during this development, or it's just going to remain not built until the hotel gets done.
No, the pathway down to the beach will be built still at this time, just within a right of way to the district of Sycamoose, not parkland area.
And the right of way later on can be amended, is what you're saying.
Correct. Once the future development happens, we're not sure at this time whether this foundation will get used or not. It may just be bulldozed and started over, but we don't want to limit the potential for that lot in case the future developer wants to still use this massive concrete structure again.
Okay, and maybe, Mr. Chair, just a question to staff.
Yep, go ahead.
I guess Kelly and Nicole, I mean, in terms of the right of way versus the parkland, I mean, I think I understand. I mean, the parkland is permanent. As soon as we designate that, we're gonna have to, in order to take it out, it's quite the process. But with the right of way and any covenants we can put on it, what I'm concerned about is that this is protected, period. In terms of what we already agreed to. And so I guess my question to staff is, how does this protect this access that we had agreed to?
Through the chair. Yeah, so we can have that type of wording inside of the stat right of way document that, I don't know, like no further build, no construction in there. This is reserved for the intention of parkland, or, you know, some type of version of parkland around it, whatever the proposal is going to be. So I would say that's quite easy to do. And then it is easy or release that stat right of way and then dedicate it as park on a further subdivision plan when that remainder piece of the parcel gets subdivided.
And further to Nicole, like this will be on title, so we have the power, right? We have the control of releasing that at any time or not. And we're also getting this additional piece of parkland here, right? So we're getting this dedicated, so we're actually getting more parkland. And then we're still getting this statutory right of way for a walkway versus it being dedicated as a parkland. Very frequently, our walkways, they're not necessarily dedicated parkland, they're statutory right of ways. So that's also very common.
Okay.
There you go.
So staff doesn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we're still getting
We're
access to
protected.
that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Good question. Deb, you okay?
All good.
Okay, anything else, Nicole?
Yeah, if we could just go back to the PowerPoint.
Sorry about that.
Making me work today.
Okay. Yeah, so this slide here. So I guess there are a few options to moving forward. So obviously we have a 2012 covenant registered on title now. We had one from 2023 that was approved by council and it didn't replace the 2012 covenant. It's kind of just floating there right now. And so we want maybe to discuss what to do now, because we can, I guess, amend the 2023 Parkland Provision Agreement with this revised plan, and then register it on title and replace the 2012 covenant. Or we can dedicate park on the final subdivision plan and just remove the 2012 covenant from title, because it'll no longer be required after the parkland is dedicated on the subdivision plan. There's some wording in the 2023 agreement that district staff had some concerns with in regards to maintaining the beach management area in a certain way and getting approval from the province for a license of occupation, which isn't guaranteed. So there was just some commitments in that covenant that we weren't too keen on. And it sounds like from the developer, they weren't committed to the beach management area provisions either. So we have a few options here of how we want to move forward.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Yeah, I went through that fairly detailed, and it did, put the district in a tough position for maintaining a beach that you're not legally allowed to maintain in the first place. For staff, what's easiest for you and what's easiest for the developer?
For me, I would prefer to remove the 2012 covenant, dedicate park on the subdivision plan, and not have any parkland provision agreement moving forward.
Until the end.
Yeah, because there's really no requirement for that parkland provision agreement. Because it's the parkland dedication happens on subdivision. There's just some other items on there that both the developer and district staff don't really feel need to be there.
Yeah.
So it's an unnecessary agreement in our opinion. Then we can clean up the covenant as well.
Okay, well, that sounds good, Kelly and Nicole. Ian and Deb, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
Actually,
So-
I just have one question just for what Nicole said. So
Sure.
when you're talking about the 2023 agreement, yeah, we did do a parkland provision agreement. You basically said that we can do that at subdivision now at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, but would it be, so I mean, I guess, do we have to remove that or I guess we'd have to remove that at council, right? Because didn't we pass that at a council meeting? Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, council would have to approve the removal of the 2012 covenant. And then no new covenant registered on title by council or through subdivision.
Okay,
Okay.
Ian? And yeah, this is the recommendation is to move it forward to council so they can, we
Yeah,
can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good, Nicole. Ian, Deb, you good with that?
Yeah.
All righty, well, we'll go ahead and recommend that the Planning and Development Committee recommend to the District of Sycamoose Council amend the parkland provision agreement related to the covenant on 01 Sycamoose Creek Frontage Road. And I have a mover. Deb, seconder. Ian, great. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate you coming in. Sam and Arm.
Yep, drive safe, back home.
Okay.
He's online. Yeah, I noticed he's just good. Let me just check.
You
Notice that Rogers is dead.
want to go back to that one? Or do you want to carry on?
Rogers online, yeah.
Okay. Okay, if Roger's ready, we'll move back to Gordon Mackey Lane. Okay, development permit number 24487 DP 316 Gordon Mackey Lane. Take it away there, Nicole.
Okay, through the chair, I just have a small presentation and then, yes, if Roger is online, I know he'd like to introduce the project. Okay, so the property is located at 316 Gordon Mackey Lane. Right now, the OCP designation is split. We have town center in red and residential medium density in purple. And the proposal has been reviewed under residential medium density to match the rest of the seniors housing complex. And then the development permit we're looking at today is multifamily development permit area based on the purple. Okay, so it's zoned MUR1, multi-unit residential. Little floodplain map on the side. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much of the detail because I know Roger wants to introduce the project, but it's a 37 unit seniors housing complex. And as far as the zoning bylaw goes, there's no variances proposed. So we're just looking at a development permit. We've sent internal referrals. And so obviously a building permit's going to be required. Bylaw had no concerns. So for operations and infrastructure, as far as I know, a servicing agreement is going to be required for municipal services and any kind of off-site improvements. And then stormwater has to be dealt with on site. So staff is working internally with the developer on that. And then for the fire chief, obviously fire smart landscaping is encouraged. And it sounds like a fire hydrant may be required on site. And again, staff are working on that internally with the developer. Roger there.
Okay. Hey, Roger, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. And I want to say sorry right off the start here for missing the start of the meeting. My pipes froze in my house last night. I had no water and I had to move out of my house. So it's been a little bit of a hectic morning here and I do apologize for not being on right at the start here.
No worries at all. Sorry to hear about your pipes.
That is the way life goes some days. So
Okay.
Nicole, thank you very much for the introduction into the project. Is it possible for me to share my screen from where I am here?
Yep, go
Does that
ahead.
work?
I'll
Okay,
stop sharing and then you should be able to.
wonderful. Okay. Okay, I am just gonna see if this works here. Share screen. Share. All right, are you able to see the screen here with our drawings on it?
Yes, we are.
Beautiful. Okay, so this project, as Nicole mentioned, is a multifamily. It's a seniors housing project with 37 units in it. We have been working with a development specialist for BC Housing to produce this project for the Eagle Valley Seniors Housing Society. And basically what we're looking at in this building is a 4-story multifamily facility, which we have designed to meet the zoning bylaws, as Nicole had mentioned, and to meet the requirements of both BC Housing and Eagle Valley, trying to bring together all the requirements into this facility. So with the site planning, as you saw in the previous, we are coming off Gordon Mackey Lane. The property has been recently subdivided within the last year off of a Main Street property. And we have the addition of essentially what I would call an umbilical cord going over to the Gordon Mackey Lane turnaround to provide access onto the property. When we looked at this building, one of the key points we needed to look at was how do we provide fire truck access, and how do we make sure that that works with what we're planning on this site. So what you see on my screen right now is the fire truck access coming in off of that lane. It's about 119 meters, so that does require us to provide a turnaround on site, and we've accommodated that with a hammerhead next to the garbage facilities to enable the fire trucks to be able to come into the site, deal with the emergency, and then be able to turn around and exit back out to the property because we're over the 90-meter code requirement. We've also designed the vehicular access on this property with the potential that in the future there could be a connection through to the properties off of Main Street. And this was done in sort of preliminary consultation with this property and the neighboring property, which we understand is also going to potentially be multifamily. And that would just provide more flexibility if that ever did come into play. We could also make connection through with the sidewalk at this location here to the north if that was ever desired. We haven't shown it at this point because we believe that this project is further ahead than the other project is, but we didn't want to preclude it in the design process. As far as the building goes, we have 2 main facility levels. We have the ground floor, and then we have levels 2 through 4. So on the ground floor, what we have is we have spaces for 7 of the residential units. And then we also have space for scooter storage within the building, recognizing that this is a seniors facility and there is a higher need for scooters. And we have a central common area on the building on the east side here, which opens out into the gardens for the residents of the facility. On the west side of the building, we have a front central office for Eagle Valley Seniors Housing Society, where they can connect with the public lobby here and that they can provide services through to the residents of the facility. All of the units have been designed on the ground floor with accessibility in mind. And so they're all accessible ready on this level. And then levels 2 through 4, we also have adaptable units. So they're designed with concept that these spaces could be changed into accessible units as needed in the future. So this building is a little unique from most residential buildings in that we have a very high level of accessibility on it, simply because of what we're dealing with aging seniors. We also have 2 elevators in the facility, so if there ever is an elevator that goes down, we have redundancy on that. So with the goal of not having anybody trapped to their units if there's a problem with the elevator. That's basics of what we're looking at here. I don't know if we can open the floor to any questions or any comments. I'm open to that.
Well, that's great, Roger. Thank you very much. Yeah, it looks really exciting. Deb or Ian, you guys have any questions?
No, other than it looks great, and very, very excited about this project. And yeah, I mean, it looks aesthetically very pleasing, and I'm glad that you were able to, I think, was it always 37? I thought it was 32. So I'm not sure if you we're able to squeeze a little bit more in there, but I mean, it looks wonderful.
So we started at 36 units, and what happened is, as we worked with BC Housing, we were slightly over on the common space for the facility. So we ended up adding one more unit and reducing the internal common space to hit the numbers that BC Housing is looking for on their pro forma and everything. And it also helps the community, and it just is one more unit. So
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic. So
thank you. It's been a really enjoyable project to work on. You know, it's one of these ones where it's really a feel-good type project to do when you get into them.
indeed.
Great, thank you, Ian. Deb, you got anything?
I just think it's great.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, no, I can, just gotta commend the crew, the board of directors and, you know, what you guys have put together. It's just wonderful, and we're really looking forward for groundbreaking, and, yeah, I really like it. I like the scooter garage.
Yep.
You know, over at the manor there, they have a scooter garage as well with a garage door operator on it. It's kind of cool. So it looks really good. Probably I'll be in there one day. You know? Probably sooner than later. But
You're
anyways,
a few years off of that, Gord.
thank you very much. Pam, would you like to say something?
Well, I just want to ask a question. It looks fantastic. It does. My assumption, from my ignorance probably, is that fire access would have to be available on both sides of the building. But I see that fire access for a fire engine is only two sides. Is that common? Like,
So-
don't we need to be able to get fire engines like all the way around a building to deal with a fire on either sides or all sides? I don't know.
I'm not
No.
sure.
So
I'm not
I
sure.
can answer that one.
Go ahead, Roger.
And basically, the answer is no. Typically, under the building code, what you need to do is you need to be able to get within 10 meters of the front entrance, the principal entrance of a building. This building will be fully sprinklered, and so firefighting is typically from within the building if there is an event. It is extremely rare that any building with sprinklers ever gets to a fire point where you're fighting a whole building. And design of this one actually exceeds what the building code typically requires, because we do have full access on two full sides of the building. So we're actually beyond what the building code would typically look at for this type of facility.
Great, thanks, Roger. Yeah, good question, Pam. Kelly or Nicole, anything else? Oh, go ahead there, Jeff.
Through this process, you can tell by the weather outside and snow, but this is a pretty light snow year. Usually we get quite a bit more than this. And for this facility, you can see that we have basically parking stalls. And a lot of the people that will live in here will all have scooters. There'll be quite a few vehicles with consumption. And so in the landscaping, that's the difference. So you see all those trees over the park?
Mm-hmm.
We discussed with BC Housing putting in covered canopy parking, because you got a snow plow and somebody comes out, takes the snow off the roof of their car, and then it's in between the cars. Or we let the person who have to shovel it, and we shovel it between the cars. And that's the process. So I'm just mentioning this because this is the point where you're gonna make some decisions. BC Housing is not going to participate in the cost of what canopy. But we may do it anyway.
Okay.
And so I'd just like the district to consider that aspect of the covered canopy. And probably not the parking in the front of the building, but possibly the rest of it.
Good to know, Jeff.
Just because I know I've lived here long enough, snow removal, like I got a shovel between my vehicle, I drive it home, it's a pain in the butt. So.
Yeah.
When we get that big 1 foot or 10-inch snowfall one night, senior citizens coming out of there, it's gonna be difficult to access vehicles that are parked in regular parkings.
No, sounds real good. I think it's a great idea. Nicole or Kelly, do you have any,
So if you just they're showing trees that are hanging. And that's part of the district's. So that we're not asking for anything to change right now. It's put on main one, that. We'll try to have that shrubs.
Yeah, maybe not big trees, but maybe you'll just have a row of hedge, you know, small 3-foot hedge or something like that that's trimmable and in front of the vehicles, yeah. So there is,
Saying is you might be potentially removing some of the trees and adding some kind of cover. That's, okay, just trying to get clarity on that, yeah.
I know it's.
Yeah.
We proposed it in the proposal, I'm not sure if Roger was required. Craig did that, but they had a conversation. I asked for it and BC Housing said they would contribute at this time.
yeah. No, I like the idea. There's lots of them in, down the valley in Kelowna and in
Yeah.
Vernon, where the seniors developments have the, you know, they're not garages, they're just canopies and
Yeah.
they're built for snow load and, yeah, good to hear.
Yeah,
Okay.
I apologize. I missed a little bit of the communication there. It was cutting in and out a little bit. You know, from an architectural perspective, I'm not against the idea if the district is open to it. We haven't shown anything to date, and you know, one of the things I might recommend, Jeff, too, would be to look at the population as it built into this. And that might be something that would be worthwhile looking at after a year or two, just seeing sort of what your vehicular loads are on the site. Because you may have, with a seniors building, you may find that you're not hitting 100% of parking load in this facility to what you see here. And it may be worthwhile seeing just how much you require for parking that's regularly filled, and then seeing cost-wise where it makes sense to sort of come forward with a proposal on that.
Yeah, and that's exactly correct, Roger. We got about 60% in the 20 units that we currently have that's happening.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought too, Jeff, is like from a sort of perspective of cost efficiency and economy, it might make sense to see just how many is feasible and reasonable for this type of facility before proceeding on that.
No, and I agree. I just wanted it to be on record that it may happen in the future. So we put the right shrubs in there so we're not cutting trees down.
Great. Okay,
Fire smart ones.
yeah. Okay, no more questions. I'll read the recommendation. Deb and Ian, you're good?
All good.
Yep. Okay, recommended that the Planning and Development Committee recommend to the District of Sicamous Council authorize the issuance development permit number 23-487 DP to permit the development of 37 unit senior housing project for the property legal described as Lot A, District Lot 452, KDYD Plan EPP 130290, and it's at 316 Gordon Mackey Lane. May I have a mover? Deb, seconder, Ian, all those in favor? Gary, thank you very much. Great project. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Roger.
everyone.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, good luck with your pipes.
Yeah, they're underground. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Okay, moving right along. We're gonna go to development permit number 24-493 DP. That's 215 Hillier Road East. Nicole.
Okay, through the chair. So this is a development permit for 251 Hillier Road East, and that's the property location map. So it's designated residential medium density under the OCP, and it requires a multi-family development permit. So that's what we're looking at today. It's zoned mobile home park 1, and I just showed the floodplain mapping there. Okay, so this proposal is for 40 mobile home units, and that's shown in the darker blue or purple color. It is the second phase in a 2-phase mobile home park development. The first phase is shown in yellow. There's no variances proposed to the zoning bylaw at this time. They've got green space proposed and an internal access route that would need to be constructed and connected to the first phase. The developer plans to consolidate the 2 lots, because right now the lots in yellow are one title and the blue are another title. So it'll be combined into one mobile home park. And something unique to this development is the existing phase has individual water meters, and so they're also proposing individual water meters for the second phase. And something else to mention that's not on the slide, sorry about that. There's an existing fire lane on the west side of the yellow lots. It's over.
Here.
No, more to the left. In between the blue and the yellow, there's a fire lane, and that was required because at the time there were two separate titled properties, not sure what was going to happen with the second phase. Now we know they're going to be consolidated and combined. So the developer is proposing to remove the fire lane, which was required for secondary access into the development. And then, yes, dedicate or not dedicate, but construct that new access. So there's I guess a flow through traffic for emergency vehicles. I've run it past the fire chief. Sounds like that's okay. We'll take a closer look before it goes to council, but that is the proposal as it stands today. So a building permit's going to be required when the mobile homes are constructed or placed. Bylaw had no concerns. So for operations, going to need a servicing agreement for the municipal services. Going to talk a lot more about the water meters at that time. And then stormwater needs to be dealt with on site. Sounds like they're already working on a stormwater management plan. And then I've mentioned the fire chief would always like to see fire smart landscaping. And then we'll take a look at the adequate emergency vehicle access.
Okay, great.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I know the developer wanted to be online, but it sounds like they're, okay, yeah. Can't quite see.
Greg online?
Ah, nice.
Greg, did you want to add anything?
You're muted, Greg.
You're muted.
You're muted. Oh, yeah.
You're muted there.
Okay,
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, bonus.
okay, that worked. No, Gord, I kind of think Nicole did my wish list. And you know, all of the engineering and everything, it's kind of been well underway, so it should go pretty smoothly. And because we did a bit of the engineering, you know, when we did the first phase, and so I think Nicole covered everything. Unless anybody's got any questions, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Greg. Looking forward to more units in town, and you're doing a great job. Ian, you had a couple questions, did you?
No, just maybe more of a comment that I think this is wonderful. I've heard nothing but great comments from anybody who's already living in the first phase. I think it's been a home run in terms of what we needed in this community. It was really, it's servicing something that we're kind of missing here, and it's opened up a lot of possibilities for people. And no, I just think it's great, and it's nice to see that we're going to have a second access into the property after this next phase goes through. So I think that's really important as well. Like that's a big plus for, I think, everybody in the community already. So no, I want to say thanks, Craig. This has been a fantastic development for the town.
No, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ian. Deb, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. So I was reading a little bit about the individual metering versus the, single large meter, and I don't know which way staff is going or what the reasons would be for going for a single meter. But honestly, if we're concerned with conservation at all, the only way you get it is with individual metering. Bottom line is, as a park owner, I know, like if you don't actually have everybody metered, there's no chance you can really control their behaviors that way. Just because we were having a lot of issues in terms of phase one regarding it having to come back to staff and planning and development and council, have we got a plan for avoiding those sorts of things going forward?
I think Deb and I can work with Nicole. So
good.
We need some relaxations on, setbacks and stuff. Like I support any fire concerns, fire separation and all of that kind of stuff, but we live in a world today where people want a deck, they want a shed, do we need to be, 6 meters from Hillier Road? There's a nice boulevard there, right? And, does the guy's shed need to be 3 meters in from his backyard when, Hillier Road is quite boulevarded and everything, so I think, I support any fire concerns, but I think at the end of the day, we gotta be reasonable with what people want, when they're moving to Sycamoose and, they've got stuff to put away and, yeah, so Devin, it has been a challenge. It's got a lot smoother with, the new staff. So I think, and, the homes that are going in there are nice homes, they're nice people, they're, but they all got a lawnmower and they all got this and that has to go in a shed. And I think we just got to think of fire, but we have to be reasonable.
Yeah, no, and I that's what I wanted to hear is that, just some common sense stuff where you're not bringing stuff like that back to council, because to me, that's just kind of crazy. If, like staff and building inspection and all that is on side, then, that works for me.
That's great, Deb. Thank you. And yeah, no, I just want to say great job, Greg, and I agree, every property's unique in its own and yeah, you can make concessions here and there as long as you stay within the fire, safety rules. And yeah, I really like what you guys are doing and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Gordon.
Yeah, you bet. Kelly, you're good. And Nicole? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and we'll read the recommendation that the Planning and Development Committee recommend the District of Sycamoose Council authorize the issuance of development permit 23-493 DP to permit a 40-unit mobile home development for the property legal described as Lot 2, Section 6, Ship 22, Range 7, west of the 6th Meridian, KDYD, Plan EPP 32799, located at 251 Hillier Road East. Can I have a mover? Deb, seconder, Ian? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Greg, and appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay. Oh, we're moving right along. Okay, we're gonna go to District of Sycamoose Building Regulation Amendment Bylaw 1056, sitting permits. Nicole, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair. There we go. Okay, so yes, we wanted to bring citing permits to the Planning and Development Committee and yeah, put our minds together about what this could look like. This is kind of being in response to the RVP4 zone and talking about setbacks and proper placement of park model trailers. So I just have a slide here about the similarities between building permits, which we already do, and citing permits, which we maybe do sometimes, but it's not a requirement right now. So we are looking to make that a requirement and kind of formalize the process. So for both, an application would be submitted to the district, the building official and the planning department would review the applications. It would ensure that the proposed construction complies with zoning, and then approval of either permit is required prior to construction, and then the permit is issued by the building official. Then on the next slide, I just have, I guess it's a little bit busy, but a comparison between building permit versus citing permit. And so building permit ensures the proposed construction complies with the BC building code. Park model trailers don't fall under the building code. And so that's why we're suggesting doing a citing permit to ensure that when they're placed, they meet the proper setbacks from one another, property lines, other structures. I don't know if there's any other bullets in here we want to go over. Yeah, I think I have two starred ones there. I just need to remind myself. So we also need to discuss today. We're recommending that citing permits be required for park model trailer placement, but last year it was proposed that citing permits be required for all kinds of things. Greenhouses, yeah, sea cans, any kind of structure that's over the 10 square feet. And so open to discussion on what the planning committee thinks we might want to include in our building regulations bylaw. And then, sorry, if you can go previous. And then we should also talk about, so building permits, there's inspections as you go through the building permit process all the way up to occupancy. For a siting permit, inspections aren't required, but they can be. So I guess I just learned about this. So talking about like surveyor pinning the corners, the work is completed or foundation poured, and then they come back and check and then give us a plan that says, yes, these setbacks have been met. Because it sounds like right now, maybe that isn't being checked in the field, it's just being checked on paper. So there's some things that we can make happen if we want to. And then the next slide. Some more discussion, there's lots of things to discuss. So a fee associated with a siting permit. I mean, like I said, it sounds like we're already doing siting permits and we've been charging like a different range of fees. So we want to maybe formalize that. We'll need some updated enforcement wording in the building regulations bylaw that's been included as a red lined in the staff report. And yeah, if we move forward with this, we'll have to take a closer look at our policies, guidelines. Application forms would need to be created or included in the building permit application. And so on.
Okay,
That's it. So I don't know where we want to start.
great, Nicole. Well, I guess we can open it up to questions first. Deb or Ian, you got any questions or concerns?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think you've really, and trust me, Nicole, I don't usually say this. I think you really kind of hit this nail on the head here. I totally agree with you that just limit it to park models. Don't get into all the other things. That's what worried me about the siting permit originally. I wasn't for it because I just looked at it as opening up Pandora's box on all this other stuff, and it just being a huge time suck for the building department or the planning department, and where, you know, we obviously don't want to send you down that rabbit hole. But I think clearly the park model issue and is the real issue. And we've had some issues with that obviously in the past, and we're trying to work through that. And I think we're making excellent progress on getting through these zones and getting to the RVP4 zone. But I would limit it to park models. I don't think the rest of it is a huge issue. I'd like that you would do a follow-up, especially when it comes to the new park model zoning that we're doing. You know, again, just kind of maybe eliminates these future issues that we've had around fire safety and, you know, things getting added that probably shouldn't have, and that dramatically changes the setbacks. But again, like that gives you an opportunity to educate and work with people rather than have a heavy hand as well. So I really like what you're proposing. I think it's simple, straightforward. I agree that there has to be a fee, and I assume you're going to go back and work on that and bring it back. But there's nothing here that I really think misses the mark personally. I think it's a very balanced approach.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Deb?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So maybe I'm missing it, but I understand that, you know, in turn the park models aren't subject to the building permit. But what standards are there regarding park model construction? Like, is there anything in there that, you know, like if we're just doing it as the siting permit?
Yeah, so you're asking if we would review the park model like construction standard before it's placed?
Yeah, or if it's necessary, I don't know, but it's just because it's not mentioned at all. I just don't understand, you know, what the requirements are there.
That's a good question.
Okay, good question.
I'm just
Yeah, just curious because, you know, people are going to be living in it, right? And so I know when, you know, with mobile homes and that you get you know, somebody puts up a deck and, oh, suddenly it's covered, and oh, suddenly it's got walls around it, and it's turned into the kid's bedroom, right? And, you know, nobody, you know, that was old school, and now, of course, you couldn't get away with that because it would have to be built to a certain standard. And I assume, like, you know, like Z20, whatever, that park models must have some basic standard, but, you know, is that going to be one of the tick boxes that, yes, it was built to that standard as part of the siting permit or some other way of dealing with it?
Yeah, Roger Green here. It's not really my project, but I'll weigh in a little bit from what I've heard.
Thank you.
I deal with code.
Oh,
My understanding is that these essentially have to meet the same sort of standards as any other motorhome, which is under more CSA and those sort of requirements. So there is around gas requirements and things like that. You're 100% correct. Where it gets difficult with anything like this or a mobile home or anything is when you start to have those add-on components, is that you start to blur lines, because the way these are designed is they're designed as the standalone component and they're tested to what you see on the trailer. When you add other components to them, you get into a bit of a gray zone. Decks and stuff usually are pretty low key. However, like everybody else, I've seen campgrounds where they have permanent park models in it and you have 100 people there in close quarters. There isn't a straight solution because the building code doesn't really apply to any of these sort of things. So it is a bit of a gray zone. So there's my 2 cents for you.
hey, that's good, Roger. Thank you. Really appreciate you for chiming in.
Not
Go
a
ahead,
problem.
Deb.
And then one other question, it kind of is a follow-up to the email I sent earlier from BC Assessment, but as I don't know with building permits, if that information goes to BC Assessment, but would the siting permit information go to BC Assessment as a way of their test of permanency and, you know, actually assessing and getting you guys some tax dollars for this?
Kelly, do you want to?
Yeah, I can answer that. Most definitely. So that's another benefit of the siting permit. It's an opportunity for us to track what's going in there and then report that to BC Assessment. Because how BC Assessment gets new construction is through building permits. So this is another way that we can communicate with BC Assessment to make sure we capture whatever assessment that is there. And further to Roger's point, when it comes to all the additions that you know, park models can get, we're working on recognizing we have various recreational vehicle park zones within our community. It looks like we're going to be getting some more some standardization in terms of attachments and requirements. So like if there is a prefab, like a deck, that it needs to be prefabbed with as part of the park model, right? Or if it is built to the building code, it really shouldn't be attached to the park model. It needs to be separate. So we'll make sure that as we're rolling out more information on the park models, that we are applying some consistent rules and how that's going to look for our existing RVP zones and for our future ones. Then they'll all be treated consistently, because right now they haven't historically.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. You good with that, Deb?
Excellent.
Okay, I just had I'll go next, Irene. I just had a couple questions. I mean, we do get a lot of people that are, you know, bringing in C-cans. I mean, there's new ways to live nowadays because accommodations is so tight, but I mean, the next thing you know, people will be living in C-cans and so, you know, in our bylaw 700, I think it is, I mean, it even nails it down to hot tubs. You know, you need a permit for a hot tub, and I don't think we get any of those applications in. I don't imagine everybody just puts a hot tub in anywhere. So I think we really got to take a look at our bylaw itself and amend it at some time when we have time and lots of staff that we can review this. But I'm just, you know, I don't like permits for. I mean, I'm not just saying I don't like permits, but sometimes you do have to have permits for, like, you know, if you're in the residential area and somebody brings in a C-can and you don't have a siting permit to oversee that. I mean, it becomes difficult for the neighbors. I mean, the neighbor next door, he doesn't want to look at a C-can, you know. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn between, but because I don't like a lot of red tape. So yeah, it's a tough one. You know, what do you think, Nicole? you know, with sea cans and, I think one of the other ones was the big metal building that was put up in the residential area, a Quonset. And, you know, again, sometimes you get these permits, people get permits and they don't. So I'm a little concerned about the sea cans and in residential areas. So,
My preference would be to not include it at this time and focus on the park model trailers.
Yeah.
I know, bylaw did recommend that they do be included. I guess it obviously starts with neighbor to neighbor conversation and then, going to bylaw, to try and, I guess, enforce the setbacks. It can be difficult, he said, but that's my preference.
okay, all right. All right, good to know. Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, just a follow up on that one. I think we could start with the park model trailers, see how this goes. In terms of the sea cans and other issues, wouldn't we have some ability anyways, Nicole or Kelly, to come and say, hey, that doesn't conform with the setbacks or the actual zoning use of the property, and we could work through some of those issues in that regard?
Yeah, bylaw
I
does
don't know,
that.
am I correct there? Okay,
go
so
ahead,
there
Nicole.
is ways if someone, yeah, if somebody drops a sea can in their front yard or on their side yard in their, you know, then we do have some ways to work through that, right?
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, my understanding is they're actually shipping containers, I think are only permitted for up to 30 days in a residential area. They're not really meant to be permanent in our I'll have to brush up on in our
Right.
bylaw, but I actually don't think they're really allowed in residential areas. And if you do them in a commercial area, you actually need a development permit, because it affects the form and character of a commercial area when you bring sea cans in. So, yeah. So I don't know how many, and I mean, when it comes to sea cans, it's really about the neighbor and the neighbor complaining, right?
Right.
So I actually don't think they're allowed long-term right now currently within our residential areas.
Okay,
Okay. Just one other thing, since we're, sorry, Mr. Chair, I mean, is that okay if I ask another question?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I can't really see you, so, yeah, so I just, since we're talking about citing permits for park models, I mean, this has been like the year of the park model for sure, in terms of how much time we've spent on it, in terms of all the different zoning. Did we ever get, and I can't remember if we ever got a good answer of whether we're allowed to actually make these zones and do this under, I don't know, the building code or even, and so I just don't know where we're at, because if we're going to give citing permits saying, yeah, you're allowed this on this property in this zone, then, you know, we're obviously sanctioning it, right? We're sanctioning it for, I presume, year-round living, which I just wonder if that's going to cause us any difficulties. And I'm not sure where staff is with that investigation on exactly what we're allowed to do.
Okay, go ahead, Nicole.
Through the chair. So over the holidays, we did request a legal opinion for year-round use of park model trailers. And I think we just got that response back, but I haven't had a chance to take a look and see what that means for us. But for sure, that's information that we need to share.
Okay, so you're
And-
working through.
Yeah, and it's really about year-round use for something intended for seasonal use. And what liability does that put on the district of Sicamous? I've perused the response, and you know, it's a classic lawyer response. It's like, oh, yes, no, maybe, right? So it's not necessarily really clear either. So Nicole and I have to sit down and really dig into it to see like, what exposure does that put the district of Sicamous? If somebody's using a park model as a permanent residence and, you know, something happens, are they going to sue us because we allowed them to live in it permanent when it was, you know, meant to be seasonal? And what is the probability of that happening, right? So I'm
Right.
assuming there is a bit of risk on the district of Sicamous, but how much, I'm not sure, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the big point of this whole thing, right? We gotta figure that piece out. And then with the citing permits, well, we gotta figure out, well, what does that citing permit allow you to do, right, with that property? Is it, and I think with all our RVP zones, this is probably the big question, is what we're actually allowed to permit and what we're not. Because my understanding is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I understand these are built to a fairly high standard now, and maybe the building code just hasn't caught up to the ability of what these homes are. But they're not under the building code because they're not intended to ever be used year round. They're strictly for just recreational use. Is that correct?
Yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I thought though that I heard that BC Building Code is taking a look at this.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Gary. Tyson, you want to?
Tyson's here.
The 2023 code update doesn't explicitly deal with Z241s yet, and so up to date, they're definitely not built for year-round residences. They're not even close to the building code, and that could be something that could be communicated in the citing permit, saying like these aren't meant to be used for year-round living.
Oh, interesting. Tyson, can you, like, I mean, have you been, like, you've been through lots of them, I'm sure, but the new ones, like the ones that Twin Acres are building with, they're, drywall in them, and they're built just like a home. Are they're still not up to code?
I couldn't say anything about the Twin Acre ones that are being built. I'm not sure what association you're with there. That's the thing, these different park models and modular units are all governed by different associations, so I can't say specifically what Twin Acres is doing. Yeah, Z241s are not built to the same standard as the Z240MH, which is mobile home, and that is built to the building code. And so yeah, these Z241s are just not meant to be used year round. They're definitely not built to be dwelling units.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they call it seasonal, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But they don't tell you which season.
Exactly, right?
Right.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it's an interpretation of the code, I guess, or the law. Anything to add to that, Nicole?
No, I'm just thinking that in the citing permit, it sounds like we could specify, depending on what this legal review says, that this isn't permission for year-round use, if that's the way we go, and we can be specific about that in the permit.
Yeah.
And we also need to figure out how whether we're gonna allow it seasonally or not. And then if we choose, if we decide, no, we only want it seasonal, then where are we going to put that? Are we putting it in our zoning bylaw within our definitions? Or are we are we putting a covenant on title? Is that how we regulate it? Because right now, with the Sycamore Sands and Silver Sands, it used to be in their zoning and there was a covenant on title. Now it's out of their zoning. There's still a covenant on title. They've asked to remove the covenant. So we just need to figure out really what direction we want to go there. And if we want to keep it as seasonal, then where do we want to put that? And then, and enforcing it, I mean, is very difficult, right? That's the reality of it.
Okay.
If I could just add something.
Go ahead, Ian.
Chair. Yeah, and I think that's just my concern, is that we're not taking on a ton of liability onto the district. That when we go through this, like, I mean, my view is that these are, well, good enough for year-round living. However, my view doesn't matter much, right, when it comes to legal proceedings. and I mean, I have no problem with folks living in this year-round. But when it comes down to legal exposure for the district, we just have to be very clear. And if it's, and I totally agree with you, Kelly, it's really almost impossible to enforce this, right? Like, unless you start going around, you're knocking on people's doors. I mean, that would be a ridiculous use of our resources. But when we do these citing permits, we just have to be cognizant, I would say, of our legal liability and what we're signaling to people. Now, if they live in it year round, well, that's a different issue. But if we're saying, hey, this siting permit allows you to have 9 months of occupancy, it's not permitted over winter, then we just need to do that. So I think there's obviously a couple of things to work out, and I'm glad that staff is working hard on it, because this is kind of new territory. We haven't found, I think, too many examples of where these zones are actually even permitted in other municipalities. So it's good that we're working through this, and I support it. I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a legal liability situation where it can come back saying, hey, a problem happened, you sanctioned us, here's my siting permit, or here's what you've done to allow it to your own usage, but then people come back on us and sue us. That I definitely don't want to see.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Kelly, do you have something
Yeah,
else?
and further to that, if we decided, you know what, we only want it seasonal, we can embed it in our zoning bylaw, doesn't mean we actually have to enforce it. Right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
that it's
We're
there.
advising you that.
Yeah, right. So it's there to protect us, but we're not aggressively enforcing that. Like we're saying, you know what, these are intended for seasonal use. The siting permit is strictly for the location. But you know, if some people live there year round, it's not that, you know, I don't know. There's some options,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly and Nicole, do you think, should we be tabling this for a bit, or do you want to just get it to council right away? Because there is a recommendation. What do you think? Do we need to do a little more homework, or?
Well, I think the siting permits are completely independent to the year-round use of a recreational vehicle. Right? Because what that siting permit's gonna look like, and the siting permit doesn't give permission for year-round use. I mean, really doesn't matter to me. I don't know how Nicole feels about it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how long we can wait from today until bringing it to council, like a draft bylaw.
Yeah, well, we can move it forward, and if you have more stuff to add, you can bring it to council. You know, you're good with that, Ian and Deb?
Oh yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, well, let's recommend that the Planning and Development Committee recommend that the District of Sicamous Council amend the District of Sicamous Building Regulation Bylaw number 700, 2008 to add the requirement for citing permits for park model trailers. Can I have a mover? Deb, seconder, Ian? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Great. Well, thank you, Nicole, and everybody that came to the meeting and come online, because everybody's online today. But we'll move to adjournment. Recommend that the District of Sicamous Planning and Development Committee meeting for January 17th, 2024 be adjourned at 10:15. Can I have a mover? Deb, seconder, Ian, thank you. Adjourned.
Thanks, guys. I'm off to meet
Thank
my
you.
flooring guy about my 2 burst pipes at my fourplex, so.
Oh.
It's a season.
Yeah, that's a problem with everybody.
Yeah.
I guess John didn't zoom in, eh? He was not online.
No, John was not here.
Yeah, he must be, well, he's in Canmore thawing pipes out.
Yeah.
Right,
Have
exactly.
a great day, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks very much.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
bye.